I brought my grandmother to tears at my graduation, a kind of crying no one else was doing. It all started a week ago with what seemed like a simple, innocent question. I stood in front of the mirror in the living room, feeling a bit awkward in my rented tuxedo. My grandmother, Grandma Rose, was sitting in her favorite armchair, holding a teacup, her eyes narrowed as if she were in deep thought or about to share some wisdom. "You look so handsome, Ethan," she said, her voice soft but firm. "Just like your grandfather did on our wedding day." She smiled at the memory, a fleeting, tender expression. Then her focused gaze returned. "Tell me, can you dance the waltz?" I paused, adjusting the ill-fitting jacket. "Not really," I confessed, my cheeks flushing. "They taught us a few steps in gym class, but I'm not very good." "Why do you ask?" She put the teacup down, her gaze dropping to her hands. "Because a girl will be waiting for you to ask her. Every girl wants to dance at her graduation." Her words hung in the air, weighted with something more than just advice. I felt a sudden curiosity, a push to look beyond the present. "Did you feel that way, Grandma?" I asked, turning away from the mirror to face her fully. "Were you nervous when you danced at your graduation?" A faint, sad smile appeared on her lips. "I wasn't nervous," she said, her gaze now distant, lost in time. "Because, as I thought back then, I wasn't blessed with beauty. And so, no one asked me." The words hit me like a physical blow. They weren't said with bitterness, but with a quiet, resigned sorrow that pierced my heart. My grandma, a woman of such immense grace and strength, was left alone on her special night. The image of her, a young girl standing by herself while others danced, was a pain I couldn't bear. The tuxedo suddenly felt heavy, and my own graduation ceased to be only about me. It became about her and the dance she never had. A plan, simple and perfect, formed in my mind. It was a secret mission, a conspiracy with destiny. It wasn't just about giving her a dance. It was about giving her back a piece of her youth. I knew if I simply asked her, she would refuse, insisting the night was mine. I had to create a scenario where she couldn't say no, a moment that would feel less like a favor and more like fate. Over the next few days, I kept my plan a treasured little fire that I carefully tended. I walked into the florist with a purpose, bypassing the prearranged bouquets. I chose a perfect, deep red rose, the kind a boy would pin on his date's lapel. The kind that said, "You are my partner tonight." The florist asked who it was for. "My dance partner," I replied, and the words felt like a solemn vow. On the night of my graduation, as the limousine waited outside, I walked past my beaming parents and went directly to her door. My heart was a drum in my chest, a rhythm of anticipation and fear. When she opened the door, her eyes widened at the sight of my tuxedo. She looked beautiful herself, in a simple navy dress she had saved for the occasion. "Close your eyes, Grandma," I said, my voice thick with emotion. She smiled, a little puzzled, and did as I asked. I reached out and gently placed the rose in her hand. "I accidentally bought two," I lied, the words feeling like a sweet little secret. "This one is for you." Her eyes fluttered open, and she looked down at the rose, her fingers tracing the delicate petals. A tear, the first of many, escaped and silently rolled down her wrinkled cheek. It was a tear of profound disbelief, of a heart that had waited so long for a simple gesture of kindness. "But," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Just take it," I said, a playful smile spreading across my face. "I'll see you at the school." The gymnasium was a whirlwind of music and color, a kaleidoscope of youthful energy. I danced with my friends, took pictures, and laughed until my sides ached. But with every passing moment, my gaze kept finding her in the stands, a lone figure in a sea of parents. She was smiling, but there was a faint wistfulness in her eyes, a longing that had been carried for decades. I felt a nervous thrill, the final phase of my plan approaching. Finally, the moment arrived. The DJ's voice boomed over the speakers, announcing the last dance, the grand finale of the evening, the graduation waltz. Couples began to move, boys shyly approaching their dates, girls eagerly waiting to be asked. I watched the scene unfold, my heart swelling with purpose. Then, while everyone was distracted by their own partners, I turned away from the dance floor and began my long, purposeful walk straight toward her. I felt the eyes of my parents, my friends, and even strangers on me, their confusion a quiet hum in the background. She was watching the dancing, a gentle, nostalgic expression on her face. Her eyes met mine as I approached, and she looked puzzled. I reached out my hand to her, my voice clear and firm, for everyone to hear. "You have the kindest eyes I've ever known," I said, my words a promise to the universe. "And the most beautiful smile. You are the most elegant lady in this entire room. For once in your life, you deserve to feel it, too." Her eyes filled with tears, her lower lip trembling. The smile I loved so much broke through the grief, a fragile, radiant bloom. She looked at my hand, then back at my face, her heart in her eyes. "May I have this dance, Grandma?" I asked. She didn't answer with words. She simply placed her hand in mine, and together, we stepped onto the dance floor. The familiar, sweeping melody of the waltz filled the air. She was stiff at first, her movements tentative and unsure, but I held her hand firmly and guided her. "Just follow me," I whispered, and she trusted me. Soon, a natural rhythm took over. We moved slowly, gracefully, a quiet island in the swirling sea of younger couples. She wasn't the clumsy, uninvited girl she had once been. In this moment, she was a queen, and I was her devoted partner. The crowd seemed to fade away, their curious murmurs replaced by a hushed reverence. I saw my parents watching, their faces a mixture of surprise and profound love. With every graceful turn, she wept, not with sorrow, but with the purest, most overwhelming happiness. The tears were for a lifetime of waiting, for the beauty she never knew she had, and for a dance that had finally come home. When the music ended, she didn't let go of my hand, her grip tight and full of gratitude. Her eyes, glistening with tears, told me everything. That night, she finally got her dance, and I got a memory that would last forever.